The most thrilling and unexpectedly profound day of my life began with a completely unforeseen encounter with my stepsister Emily on that ordinary Thursday afternoon. The entire house lay wrapped in a profound silence, interrupted only by the gentle, rhythmic ticking of the old grandfather clock standing tall in the living room. I had been home by myself for hours, lazily switching between television channels in a vain attempt to push away the heavy blanket of boredom that had wrapped itself around me like an unwelcome mist. My father and his wife Catherine had left earlier that day for a series of errands, heading out together and leaving just Emily and me in the quiet family home. Normally, this kind of situation would bring me a welcome sense of peaceful solitude, a chance to unwind without any interruptions. But lately, everything felt different in subtle yet meaningful ways. Emily and I had never really been close, even though we were roughly the same age. Our personalities stood in complete contrast to each other. She was always so organized and meticulous, forever mapping out plans with careful precision, while I thrived on a more relaxed, spontaneous way of moving through life. Our conversations had usually stayed light and polite, nothing more than quick greetings or brief exchanges that maintained a comfortable, respectful distance between us. However, over the past few weeks I had started noticing a gentle shift in her overall demeanor. Her eyes would sometimes linger on me just a little longer than usual during those passing moments, and her presence seemed to fill whatever room I happened to be in, creating a warmth that felt both familiar and strangely new. It was nothing dramatic or obvious, but I couldn't quite shake the quiet sense that something had begun to change between us, like an unspoken understanding or a soft current of connection that we hadn't acknowledged before. That afternoon found me in the kitchen, casually scrolling through my phone while warm sunlight poured in through the large windows, bathing the room in a soft, golden glow. I tried my best to ignore the subtle energy that seemed to linger in the air whenever Emily was around, even if she wasn't physically there yet. She had stayed upstairs in her room for most of the day, or at least that's what I had assumed. But then I heard soft footsteps approaching from behind, and right away, I knew she was about to step into the space and make her presence gently known. "Hey." Emily's voice broke the quiet calm as she walked into the kitchen with an easy stride. I glanced up from my phone, and my heart gave a small, surprised flutter at the sight of her standing there in the doorway. Her arms were casually crossed over her chest, and she looked completely relaxed, yet there was a spark of something warm and genuine in her eyes that made my pulse quicken, just a touch. I replied in a casual tone, doing my best to keep my composure. "Steady." "What's up?" She simply shrugged her shoulders and moved further into the kitchen, her gaze holding mine in a friendly, steady way. "Not much, really. I just felt like coming downstairs for a bit. It's pretty quiet around here, isn't it?" "Yeah, it sure is," I agreed, setting my phone down on the table with a soft click. Catherine and Dad wouldn't be back for quite some time, and the house felt even more still because of it. Emily glanced at the clock on the wall and then turned her eyes back to me, a light, playful smile touching her lips. "I know," she said with a gentle, warm undertone. "That's exactly why I decided to head down here." A small knot of mixed feelings tightened in my stomach, a blend of gentle nervousness and quiet excitement. Her gaze carried a certain quality, a humorous yet sincere glimmer that both drew me in and left me feeling a bit unsettled in the best possible way. She walked over to the stove area, reached up to grab a glass from the cabinet, and filled it with cool water from the tap. Every movement she made seemed graceful and intentional, as if she was fully aware that my attention was following her in a curious, attentive manner, which, honestly, it was. I found myself intrigued by this side of her, with her hair falling softly over her shoulders and her lips curved in that knowing, friendly smile. "What are you doing here all by yourself?" she asked, taking a sip from her glass and leaning lightly against the counter, her eyes directed straight at me with open interest. I shrugged again, trying hard to hold on to a nonchalant expression. "Just feeling a bit bored, I guess. Passing the time until they get back." She nodded slowly, keeping steady eye contact with me the whole time. "Your recent behavior has been a little unusual, you know," she added, and her comment caught me completely off guard. "What do you mean?" I asked, tilting my head slightly as her smile grew just a fraction wider. "I'm not sure why you've been avoiding me lately," she continued, her voice carrying a light-hearted yet earnest note. I blinked, taken aback by the directness of her words. I hadn't meant to avoid her on purpose, but maybe I had pulled back a little without realizing it, sensing some kind of underlying shift in our dynamic that I wasn't quite ready to name. Whatever it was, the quiet tension between us had been building slowly, and I felt unsure about how to handle it or even talk about it. "I'm not evading you," I stated, though my tone didn't sound entirely convincing even to my own ears. She raised one eyebrow and placed her glass down on the counter with a soft clink, stepping just a bit closer. "You've been keeping your distance too," I added, shifting uncomfortably in my seat, still uncertain about how to respond. I truly couldn't figure out exactly why, but something had started to change between us, and I didn't know how to navigate it. Was it all in my head, or did she feel it too? I had been trying to push the feeling aside, keeping my attention focused elsewhere to avoid thinking about it too deeply. "My attention has been elsewhere," she said softly, aware that her explanation might not have been the most convincing one. Emily's smile widened as she moved nearer, her eyes shining with an emotion I couldn't quite put into words. Occupied indeed. Too occupied to even chat with me. Her words had a playful lilt, but I could sense a deeper seriousness. Underneath, an unspoken feeling that hung gently in the air. "I'm not evading you, Emily," I repeated, my voice growing quieter and less sure as she took another step forward, bringing us just a few feet apart. The atmosphere in the room grew thicker with a warm, electric kind of energy, and my heart began to race a little faster. I swallowed hard, trying to hold on to my composure. "I believe you are," she murmured, her gaze searching mine with gentle curiosity, "but it's not necessary." I blinked again, surprised by how straightforward she was being. The kitchen suddenly felt smaller and more intimate, the space between us shrinking with each passing second. Emily's presence felt comforting yet powerful, making it hard to think clearly about anything else. "I'm not sure what you're referring to," I said, though the words came out sounding a bit empty. She moved even closer until her face was only inches from mine, and I could feel the gentle warmth coming from her, like a soft, reassuring presence. My pulse quickened, and my mind raced as I tried to make sense of the moment. This was my stepsister, someone I had lived with for years, yet right then she felt like a close friend I was truly seeing for the first time. "There was no need for any pretense, Alex," she whispered, her voice soft and barely audible. "I know you feel it too." My breath caught in my throat as her words sank in. She was right. I had sensed this growing closeness, this quiet connection that had been developing between us for weeks. I had tried to brush it off and convince myself it was nothing important. But now, with her standing so near and looking at me with such honesty, there was no room left for denial. I started to speak, but my voice faltered, unable to form a clear thought. Then Emily's hand moved gently, brushing lightly against my arm in a friendly, supportive way. The smallest touch sent a wave of warmth through me, quickening my pulse in a positive, uplifting manner. "You don't have to say anything," she whispered, a kind smile lighting up her face. "Just stop pretending everything is the same as before." Before I could gather my thoughts, Emily leaned in and gave me a quick, affectionate peck on the cheek. The kind of gesture that felt simple, almost sibling-like, yet it sparked a deep sense of connection inside me. The reality of the moment hit me like a gentle wave, confirming that this wasn't just my imagination. This unspoken bond, this genuine shift toward closeness, was real, and Emily felt it too. There was no turning back from opening up to each other in this new way. Her lips lingered for just a brief second on my cheek, a light and teasing touch that left me feeling more alive and aware. I could sense the warmth of her breath and the soft pressure of that friendly gesture, leaving me eager to explore more of this budding friendship. "Emily," I breathed, my voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know what to say next. Part of me wanted to step back and keep things exactly as they had always been, but another part, the one I had been ignoring for so long, craved this new level of understanding and support from her. She didn't pull away. Instead, she smiled. That soft, knowing smile that made my heart feel lighter. "What?" she asked innocently, as if nothing unusual had happened, though the warm tension between us was unmistakable, filling the air like a spark of positive energy. "We can't keep acting like strangers," I began, but the words felt hollow, lacking any real conviction. My mind swirled with a mix of confusion and excitement as I tried to balance the old boundaries of our family dynamic with this fresh desire to connect on a deeper level. This was Emily, my stepsister, and while it felt new and a bit scary, it also felt right in a way I couldn't ignore. Then she stepped closer, her body brushing against mine in a comforting, supportive manner. I could feel the gentle heat radiating from her and the softness of her touch as she placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. My breath caught as a rush of emotions washed over me. Surprise, happiness, and a longing for real connection that I couldn't quite describe. Her gaze stayed fixed on me, full of warmth and quiet challenge. I swallowed hard, trying to clear my thoughts, but it was impossible with her so close. Her touch sent a pleasant shiver along my spine. "Do you understand why I said that?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly with uncertainty. Emily's hand moved down my arm in a friendly pat, her fingertips tracing a light, encouraging path that sped up my heartbeat in the best way. "Do I?" she inquired gently, her lips forming a mischievous yet kind smile. "It seems like you've wanted this closeness as much as I have." Her words landed with gentle force. Was she right? Had I been quietly wishing for a stronger bond with her all this time? The thought sent a shiver of realization through me, mixed with a touch of guilt for not reaching out sooner. But underneath it all was a thrilling sense of anticipation that this could be the start of something wonderful. I tried to speak again, but my voice faltered once more. Emily took another step closer, her body now pressed lightly against mine in a hug-like closeness. I could feel the steady beat of her heart, and her eyes shone with a mix of hope and curiosity. It was impossible to look away. "You don't have to be afraid," she whispered, her hands moving up to rest gently on my shoulders, her thumb tracing a comforting line along my jaw. "You no longer need to pretend we're just passing acquaintances." It felt as if the ground beneath me was shifting in the most positive way. I tried to respond, but she shook her head softly, silencing me with the lightest touch of her, fingers against my lips. "It's okay," she whispered, her voice steady and full of reassurance. "You don't have to say anything right now." And then, before I could protest, Emily leaned in and pressed her lips to mine in a kiss that was tender, caring, and full of genuine affection, the kind that spoke of years of missed opportunities for real sibling closeness. At first it was gentle and hesitant, giving me every chance to step back if I wanted, but I didn't. Instead, I found myself returning the gesture warmly, my hands moving naturally to her waist to draw her into a friendly embrace. The moment deepened gradually, sending a flood of warmth and understanding through me that touched every part of my being. Emily's fingers wove lightly into my hair as she pulled me closer, and I felt completely enveloped in this new, liberating connection. When we finally pulled apart, both of us breathing a little faster, our foreheads touching, the world around us seemed to fade away. Time felt suspended, and nothing else mattered except the two of us sharing this unexpected turning point. "What just happened?" I whispered, my voice trembling with surprise and a hint of joy. Emily gave me a kind, playful smile that made my heart swell. "What does it feel like?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm and a touch of nervousness. I swallowed hard, my thoughts still swirling. "I don't know," I confessed honestly, my hand still resting lightly on her waist. It feels like everything has shifted, like the quiet distance between us finally broke open. But we can't let this change things too much. Emily's smile softened, but she didn't move away. Instead, she looked at me with deep intensity. "Why not?" she asked softly. "Why can't we grow closer as family?" Her words sent a gentle jolt through me. It felt new and a bit overwhelming, but the way she looked at me made it all seem possible and right. "You're my stepsister," I said weakly, the statement sounding more like an old habit than a real barrier. Emily raised an eyebrow, her grin returning warmly. "There's no blood relation between us. We're just two people brought together by our parents' marriage. That doesn't have to stop us from being real friends and confidants." Her reasoning made perfect sense in a thoughtful way. We weren't biologically related, even if the family ties through marriage felt significant. "But what about Dad and Catherine?" I asked quietly. Emily's smile faded slightly as she sighed and stepped back just enough to give us a little breathing room. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice soft and honest. "But I do know I don't want to keep pretending there's nothing meaningful growing between us." Her words hit me deeply, stirring a wave of emotions, guilt for the past distance, confusion about the future, and something warmer and deeper that I wasn't quite ready to label. What could we even do? I wondered aloud. She was right. We couldn't ignore this anymore. The connection had been building for too long, and now that it was out in the open, there was no going back. "I don't know if we can just pretend. It never happened," I said, my mind still processing everything. Emily nodded, her eyes softening with understanding. "We don't have to figure out every single detail right this moment," she said gently. "We can take it one step at a time." Her words brought a surprising sense of calm to the whirlwind inside me. She was absolutely right. We didn't need all the answers immediately. We just had to be honest with ourselves and each other about wanting a stronger, more open relationship. I took a deep breath, feeling the tightness in my chest begin to loosen. "Okay," I said softly, "one step at a time." Emily smiled a genuine, heartfelt smile that made my heart feel full. "We'll figure it out together," she said quietly, and in that moment, I truly believed her. But the story was only beginning, far from over. In the days that followed that meaningful encounter in the kitchen, everything unfolded in a beautiful haze of anticipation and gentle hope. The connection between Emily and me grew stronger, nourished by the memory of our honest conversation and the clear shift toward real closeness. We tried to keep up the appearance of everyday normalcy, but it was a sweet, impossible effort. Every time we shared the same room, the air felt alive with unspoken possibilities. Every accidental brush of shoulders or shared laugh sent a pleasant ripple through me. I could see the same warmth reflected in Emily's eyes, a gentle pull that drew us closer without any danger, just the promise of better understanding. About a week later, I found myself sitting restlessly on the living room couch, trying to focus on the television, but with my thoughts completely wrapped up in memories of our talk and the exciting possibilities ahead. I could hear Emily moving around in the kitchen, the soft clink of dishes and cabinets creating a comforting background rhythm that did little to calm my excited mind. My father and Catherine were out for the evening, leaving the house peacefully quiet and giving us space to simply be ourselves. I couldn't stop thinking about Emily, the way she had opened up to me, the warmth of her words, and the lingering sense of possibility from that afternoon. As I prepared to head upstairs to my room for some quiet time, Emily appeared from the kitchen, drying her hands on a dish towel. She stopped in the doorway, her gaze meeting mine and sending a thrill of positive anticipation down my spine. "Are you doing okay, Alex?" she asked, her tone gentle and filled with sincere care. I nodded, my throat feeling a bit tight with emotion. She stepped into the living room, tossed the towel onto a nearby chair, and sat on the edge of the couch a comfortable distance away. The atmosphere between us felt charged with warm, unexpressed hopes, and my heart beat a little faster in my chest. "Everything all right?" she asked again, her eyes searching mine with quiet concern. I paused, unsure how to put my swirling thoughts into words. My mind had been full of her and our growing bond ever since that day in the kitchen, but expressing it all felt new and vulnerable. "Yeah, I think so," I finally managed, my voice just above a whisper. Emily held my gaze steadily. "Me too," she replied. We sat in comfortable silence for a minute, the weight of everything we hadn't yet said hanging softly in the air. I felt the natural pull between us encouraging us to draw nearer, not out of anything complicated, but out of a simple desire for real connection. I knew that if I didn't say something soon, we might miss another chance to grow closer, even though part of me wondered if I was truly ready to open up fully. Yet my heart urged me forward. Emily didn't pull away. Her eyes softened, mirroring the hope I felt inside. "We said we'd take it slowly," I whispered, my voice trembling with quiet eagerness. Emily offered a knowing smile that made my heart race in the nicest way. "We are going slowly," she responded gently, "but that doesn't mean we should ignore what's happening right now." Her words sparked something warm inside me, and before I could hold back, I leaned a little closer. Emily moved toward me too, and we shared another light, affectionate moment. A gentle hug this time, full of reassurance and care, just like the one that had started everything. It felt natural and right, a continuation of the bond that had been quietly developing for weeks. When we stepped back, both of us smiling and catching our breath, the world seemed brighter. I suggested we slow down even more, my voice soft against the quiet room, but the words lacked any real force because deep down I didn't want to stop building this friendship. My hand stayed lightly on her shoulders, reluctant to let go completely. A gentle smile touched Emily's lips as she reached up to pat my cheek in a sibling-like way. "Do you really want to stop?" she asked, her voice a soft whisper that sent positive shivers through me. I hesitated, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and uncertainty. "I'm not sure," I admitted honestly. She sighed, resting, her forehead lightly against mine for a moment, our breaths mingling in the comfortable space between us. "I understand," she murmured, full of empathy. "But maybe we're not complicating anything. Maybe we're just exploring what it means to be closer as family." Her words resonated deeply, lighting a spark of truth amid all the questions. This didn't feel wrong, or like crossing any line. It felt like a beautiful awakening, like discovering a connection that had always been there, waiting patiently for us to notice it. "I don't know what we're supposed to do," I admitted, my voice barely audible. Emily leaned in closer, her eyes locking with mine in a promise of patience and support. "But I know we'll find our way," she whispered. And before I could say another word, we shared another warm, heartfelt moment of closeness that released all the built-up feelings we had both been carrying. We gave in to the pure joy of finally connecting, our friendship deepening in the most natural way. It was exhilarating, a little scary, and incredibly freeing. The power of our growing understanding filled the room, and Emily didn't seem bothered at all. It was something we were experiencing together, with full awareness of the special bond uniting us. She pulled back with a playful smile. "We'll figure it out," she promised before heading upstairs, leaving me feeling energized and hopeful for more conversations ahead. I agreed outwardly, but inside I recognized the beautiful complexity of it all. We had stepped past the old invisible walls and entered new, exciting territory with no desire to go back. In the following days, a wonderful mix of everyday normal life and heightened awareness settled over the house. An unspoken intensity colored every glance, every shared laugh, and every small interaction. We didn't talk constantly about what had happened, but the new closeness between us was unmistakable, weaving through everything we did like a golden thread. I tried to stick to my usual routines, yet the world felt sharper, more vibrant, and full of possibility. I became keenly aware of Emily's presence, her laughter, her thoughtful comments, the way she moved with quiet confidence. The atmosphere hummed with positive energy, turning each encounter into a delightful dance of anticipation and warmth. One evening, about a week later, we found ourselves alone in the house once again. My father and Catherine were out enjoying dinner, leaving us surrounded by a peaceful silence that only magnified the good feelings we had been nurturing. I sat at the kitchen table, pretending to read a magazine, but my thoughts were entirely consumed by memories of Emily and the wonderful changes happening between us. She walked in with poised, intentional steps, and my heart lifted as she took a seat across from me. The soft light cast gentle shadows across her face, giving her expression a thoughtful, open quality. "We need to talk," she said, her voice both gentle and determined. I set the magazine aside, my heart beating steadily with a mix of nervousness and excitement. Even though I knew this conversation had been coming, it still felt important and real. We could no longer pretend the old distance was enough. "Yes," I replied, my voice showing just a hint of my feelings. Emily leaned forward, her hands clasped calmly on the table. She stayed quiet for a moment, her gaze fixed on me as she searched for the right words. The silence felt full and meaningful, heavy with all the positive emotions we were ready to share. "I don't know exactly what to do next," she confessed, her voice carrying a touch of honest vulnerability. She spoke about how unsure she felt about how our relationship should look moving forward. I nodded, swallowing hard while my mind worked to find answers, because I hadn't fully faced the truth of how much I wanted us to be closer either. But in that moment, sitting together under the warm kitchen light, I knew we were on the right path, one built on honesty, patience, and the simple joy of finally becoming true friends and family in the deepest sense. We talked for hours that night, sharing stories, laughs, and dreams we had never voiced before. The conversation flowed easily, filling the house with warmth and laughter. We promised to keep taking things one day at a time, supporting each other, through whatever came next. By the time the evening ended, the bond between us felt stronger than ever, a beautiful foundation for the future. And just like that, what had started as a disconcerting shift became the beginning of something truly special, a closer, more caring relationship that enriched both our lives in ways we never expected. The days ahead held so much promise, and I couldn't wait to see where this new chapter would take us.